A new deadly drug called Kush is ravaging West Africa. It's highly addictive and cheap to buy, and made from ingredients from the UK. I'm Gareth Barlow, and this is the Sky News Daily. Kush. It's a synthetic cannabinoid mixed with opiates, and it's killed thousands in West Africa since it first emerged in 2022. Addicts suffer from infected open sores and rashes, and they're unable to stand up. But despite knowing the risks, they just can't stop. Our Africa correspondent, Yousra Elbagir, has been looking into the issue that's crippling the region, and she's found that the UK is part of the transnational drug trade fueling the Kush crisis. And Yousra joins us now. Yousra, talk to us about Kush. I've never heard of it. I don't think many people will have. What exactly is it?
Kush is a synthetic drug. It looks like marijuana, but it is so much more dangerous than marijuana could ever be. Chemicals are sprayed onto these marshmallow leaves, and a very tiny amount is used in a joint, like marijuana, and it's smoked. It is extremely addictive. It was tested recently for the first time, and researchers found that some variants of Kush in Freetown, Sierra Leone's capital, had nitazenes, a synthetic drug compound, a version of nitazenes that is 25 times stronger than fentanyl. And we knew that going to Sierra Leone. So when we saw people, the impact it had on them physiologically, how they were responding to the high, we were shocked to see in person, but we knew what Kush is capable of already because of that research. And then when you see the people kind of hanging over, drooling, completely incapacitated, it kind of drives that point home that this is an extremely serious problem. And it's not just a Sierra Leonean problem. It's spreading across West Africa and to other parts of the continent.
So this is a drug, a synthetic man-made drug, that people are then spraying onto plant leaves, rolling them up into a joint and smoking. What exactly is the heart of this compound? What exactly are they putting into their bodies?
So it's a combination of synthetic opioids. It's a deadly mix. It's not just like K2 or Spice where it's just a synthetic cannabinoid. It also has that opioid element. And I think that's what makes it so addictive. Also smoking it, the way it's ingested, it does kind of make it easier to consume. It doesn't have the same edge of injection or, hard pills over, under the table. It almost feeds into a culture of marijuana use that already exists in Sierra Leone. We've been told by people that you can't even find marijuana in Sierra Leone anymore, that Kush is now taken over marijuana in the market.
In your footage, which is available on the Sky News app, there is just the harrowing sights of people who are being broken by this drug. Talk to us about the conversations you had with those users. What are they saying to you? What is it doing to them?
They can feel and see in the people around them and in themselves that they're deteriorating very quickly. I mean, the physical side effects of Kush include these horrendous sores on the legs, on the calves, and on the feet that make it difficult for people to walk. Thousands have died across the region from Kush-induced illnesses, organ failure, malnutrition. You lose your appetite so people don't eat. When we were under the bridge that had that community of Kush users, volunteers brought in food, and no one even got up to eat.
And you were talking to me earlier about the fact that the drug creates this kind of numb outer shell, but then breaks through the emotion of what it's doing to people.
Yeah. I mean, we met a mother whose child was taken away from her by her own mother because of Kush consumption. So she hadn't seen her daughter in 3 years. And she was trying to express herself to us. She couldn't even speak. She was so high. Her face looked like a mask that she couldn't even express anything on her face. And then you just see the tear kind of come through and slowly trickle down her face. And she still can't say anything. And I'm saying to her, how are you feeling? Are you okay? And all she just says, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's that numbness that people are looking for. It's that escape from the hardships of their life. And then they find themselves in an even worse condition and are unable to even ask for help because they're completely incapacitated by the drug.
There's always that question of how are people going about getting it? Because, you're talking about mothers, about young 17-year-olds, you're kind of talking about the whole spectrum of society.
Yeah.
Where are they starting on this journey?
I mean, it's evolved. It's been 3 years, and it's done so well as a drug that they've managed to build this entrenched system. So there are these kingpins, that you'd kind of get in any drug syndicate. And then they have their dealers. But what we found, even under the bridge, was a kid being chased by a plainclothes police officer. And we're told, he was selling Kush. But as we, the crowd gathers, people are yelling, even that police officer, I've seen him smoke Kush as well. So even the government and law enforcement are being accused of being involved in the Kush trade. That's how prevalent it's become. So it's unavoidable. You turn any corner, you'll find someone smoking Kush and you can smell it. It doesn't smell like anything natural. It smells like a fume. Like
petrol?
Yeah. No, it smells like something burning, but I can't explain it. It smells like a chemical burning. I haven't smelled anything like it before. It's just quite a specific chemical smell, like a reaction is happening. And it's incredibly accessible. So you just get handed a joint on the street and you could be trapped for life. There was also a lot of reports that human bones have been used in the manufacturing of Kush, and that grave diggers dig up human bodies because the formaldehyde in the bones, when people are being kind of prepared for burial in the body, could be used for Kush. We haven't been able to verify that. Experts didn't find human bones in the samples that they tested, but that's a kind of widely held belief that you watch out for your loved ones' graves because the grave diggers will come and sell the bones for Kush manufacturing.
It feels as though that's one of those instances of there's no smoke without fire, that even if there's not been evidence of it, that there must be truth in that for people to be able to describe something so horrific,
Absolutely.
so horrendous. And still the addictive power of this drug means that they can not look beyond it, but be able to accept that, to go through that journey to still get that high.
It's interesting because we're looking now at how things have changed from when it first started. Before, it was seen as a very specific Sierra Leonean issue. Now it's spread to Liberia, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, and these are all kind of countries. You're getting further and further away from Sierra Leone. But even today, sharing the story on our Sky News channels, I'm seeing comments from people saying it's called Colorado in Nigeria, it's called Mambo in this country. And so I think what we have honed in on is a very specific version of a synthetic drug that is spreading really quickly.
How did you first come about this story?
So we'd heard about Kush. It's been reported since 2022, but it was very murky. My mentor is an illicit flows expert, and she was telling me that she felt that the region was being destabilized by this and kind of urged me to look into it. And that's when we found this report from February this year where they had tested the samples and had found this nitazene. I spoke to Sophie, our producer, and our initial thought was, okay, we get to Sierra Leone, what's changed? How can we report on this differently? And reading the report and finding that shipments have been coming in from the UK, that dealers on the ground in Sierra Leone have been getting Kush from the UK, propelled us to go and see what was going on.
You came across a shipping container that had been seized from the UK. What is the UK's role in this? Is it manufacturing it in the UK and then sending it over, or is it sending constituent synthetic parts?
The testing capacity is limited. So when we got there, we were told preliminary testing showed that this was Kush ingredients. And just even visually looking at it, you see the marshmallow leaves that we've seen in joints. You see the vat of acetone that's used in Kush, and it smelled like acetone. You didn't really need to see any labels. When we spoke to the experts who initially flagged that the UK was involved in what is now a transnational drug trade of Kush, they had reported Kush dealers were telling them they were getting pre-laced Kush from the UK. It's yet to be confirmed if the Kush that we found has been laced is illicit. And that is key because that will dictate whether or not the UK has a responsibility to step up and help Sierra Leone with combating Kush. The Sierra Leonean government have told us quite explicitly that they do need help, that they want the UK to help them with tackling the crisis. Ultimately, experts on transnational drug crime will say that every country in the supply chain has a responsibility to mitigate Kush. And that would include the UK, because marshmallow leaves, even if they aren't laced, are illegal. You can't legally ship marshmallow leaves into Sierra Leone because of the Kush crisis. So they can consider it contraband in any case. But it's just about what applies here in the UK in terms of criminal law here around what would be illegal.
Final thought from you. There is always, in stories like this, one moment that sticks with you above any other part of it. Even the whole story is harrowing, but there's always one standout moment. What was that? What was the bit that you'll never forget?
It was the shelter with the teenagers. I mean, as soon as we saw the sores on their legs, we were all just completely taken aback. We'd seen the start of sores under the bridge, and then to go to a place where it had just become so advanced, and it felt like they were waiting to die. And then Garwin, our cameraman, goes in to get the shot from inside, and he calls out to me, he's like, Yousra, you have to see this. And so I go in, and down this corridor there are like stalls, like almost like shower stalls. And there's a 18-year-old who's like a skeleton. And he's just, it felt like on the verge of death, completely emaciated. His leg was just chewed away. And it was so shocking. And the smell of the place. And then we come out. It smelled like, sour kind of wounds, like rotting wounds. And you look into other stalls and you can feel that people have died there before. That just completely pulled us out, I think, of the moment. And we just realized that this is lethal. And there are young boys who will never live to see their life through because of this drug. But we keep checking on that young man. He's still alive. He's fighting for his life. But seeing his body and seeing him just shallow breathing, unable to speak, really drove the point home about what this drug does to people.
That's all from Yousra and for myself. That's all from us for today. The Daily, back again tomorrow.